Hey everybody, Questwise here, and today what I want to talk about is a game that I've talked about before a couple of times now. It's the Epic of Dreams, the Basilisk Edition, which is coming to Kickstarter on May 26th. This is a game that, if you watch the previous videos, you'll know that it's very sort of epic to me. It's very, very refreshing to me. It's a game that has some very, very unique mechanics, but yet very holds true to a lot of great storytelling type games. I got a chance to play it. I got a chance to talk with the creator several times about the project. And one of the things I wanted to focus on today is, and this is an aspect of the game that I find very, very interesting. And I have this interest in this idea for a very long time, since my early days of role-playing. And that is a diceless mechanic. Now, before any of you just say, hey, nope, forget it, this is not the thing for me, I have to roll dice, I'm with you there. I love to roll dice. But I've been fascinated by the idea of diceless role-playing, diceless storytelling, ever since I first encountered Eric Wujcik's Amber, the Diceless role-playing game. And I unfortunately put off even knowing anything about that game. I only got to play it one time, but I gave it sort of a bad... I kind of put it out of my mind because, again, it didn't have any dice. But I was still fascinated by the idea of being able to play a role-playing game without dice, because to me that's always been a very intrinsic part of role-playing. I've even put off other games because of the sort of player-focused rolling of things and the game master not being able to roll dice. And I kick myself for that kind of stuff because there's some amazing stories to tell on that. Epic of Dreams really does that. It really sort of harnesses that aspect of diceless role-playing and does it in such a unique way that I find very, very fascinating. Now, you can roll dice. And what's really interesting about this game, the way it's designed, is that is seamless. So if one time you're making a check, you wanted to do it diceless, and the next time you wanted to roll dice, you can do that, and you can swap back and forth seamlessly. It's beautifully the way that this is created. So what it uses is this circle. I'll put a graphic up here. Okay, and this is a big lion's head surrounded by 20 numbers. You have stats on your character sheet, and I mentioned this before too, that this game is that it's very narratively driven. So the number of stats on your character sheet is very low, and once you've played it a few times, you can almost memorize those stats. So you almost don't ever need to really know. Once you know your character, you don't even have to really look at your character sheet. But you take those stats, and you're going to, in a diceless way, you're going to pick a number. And at the same time that you're engaging in this conversation with the game master, he's also going to pick a number. And depending on the difficulty, the game master is going to give you a spread based on his number. So everything goes up. It goes from 1 to 20. So if he picks, say, 15, and he picks an easy spread, he's going to give you a much wider girth of space to be successful. So maybe 15 to 17, okay, or 18. And those are that's his target range that you need to sort of hit for. And so he's going to secretly sort of pick that number in that range. And you're going to pick your number as well too, and your stats are going to give you a range as well. So if I picked, say, 13, and it gives me a span of, say, 13 to 15, that's going to make me successful because I actually hit into where the storyteller or the game master had picked his range as well too. So it's not really so much of a guessing game as it is sort of using your stats to the best of your abilities to get these ranges, to get this thing. The more difficult the task is going to be, the smaller the range is going to be that the game master is going to give you. Now, at the same time, if you don't like doing this sort of diceless mechanic, you can also roll dice. You simply roll a d20, whatever your number is, you're going to add your spread to that, and it goes up and around. So even if you roll higher than a 20, or your spread goes higher than a 20, it goes back around, the wheel, the circle itself. It's a cool mechanic. It's a very cool storytelling, narratively driven mechanic, and I find it very, very fascinating. And in fact, in the game that we played with him and several others, the creator and several others, I wanted to test that theory out. I wanted to see how seamlessly we could go from rolling dice to not rolling dice. So the first time we did it, I did it diceless, and then the next time I had to make a check, I said, "Hey, wait, Drew, can I roll dice on this check? Can I try that out? Is it possible to just do that on the fly?" And it absolutely was, and it was absolutely fantastic. Very, very cool concept. Now, Kickstarter, I mentioned before, May 26th. It's coming up quickly, but I've been granted exclusive rights to show you something. This is the cover of the main rulebook, right? It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. But there will be a hardcover, exclusive to Kickstarter only, hardcover variant art that looks like this. Yeah. So you're going to want to jump in on this. The artwork in this is going to be fantastic. From what I understand, Drew, the creator of the game, is doing like 90-95% of the art in this book. And it's going to be very awesome. It's very kind of esoteric. It's very mythological inspired. There's also a lot of great things. And if you take a screen capture of this cover, you're going to see a lot of little hidden clues, things that you need to learn and experience and glean from the game itself. So there's lots of cool little hidden secrets that don't really affect the gameplay, but if you're a huge nerd and you do your research, you'll find that you really find some really cool hidden stuff in there as well too. So Epic of Dreams, the RPG, Diceless and Dice, you decide. All right. Until next time, I'm Questwise. Game on, my friends. Be safe. I'm out.